Hi, I'm Miriam Joy and welcome to my studio. Today we're going to be working on our bunny ears wreath, and this is just a real fun, whimsical wreath that you can do for Easter. So let's get started. I used a white wreath, and in case you can't find one, this is a 9.8 inch wreath. I picked this up at the Dollar Tree, and you can just paint it white with your multi-surface acrylic paint, and then you would have a white wreath. So don't sweat that if you don't have it. It's not a big deal. Then I took some bunny ears. And if yours are different, that's fine. I just like the color in them. I tried to make the bunny ears out of the tulle, but it didn't stand up real well, and these actually have pieces in that keep the ears standing. So I decided instead of trying to make it, I was just going to use one of these. So what I did is I took my wire cutters, and we're going to cut off part of this, and I kind of just broke it where that is underneath the fur and removed that part of it. So the fur ends there, and I did pick these up at the Dollar Tree as well. And there. And then I am going to remove the tag. And I'm going to go ahead and decorate these first because I kind of want them to feel like they're part of the wreath, not a part sticking out that doesn't belong. And I'm decided on this one. The other one I just kind of laid my tool down and kind of cut it to fit the ear shapes. On this one I think I'm going to roll my tool up a little bit. I have it at an angle. On the other one I just kind of cut my tool to the shape of the ear, but on this one I'm going to roll it up a little bit, and I have it cut at an angle. And I'm just going to kind of roll it in and just cut that there. And my tool, it takes 10 yards to make this, and this is a 6-inch tool. I did pick mine up at Dollar Tree. You could pick it elsewhere, and yours may be 10 yards. You may not need 2 of these. So remember that if you're looking somewhere else. And then I also picked up the small tubing mesh, and I picked mine up after Christmas when it goes on clearance. It gets up to 80-90% off. But they are now selling the tubing even in Walmart in the floral section, so you do have that available to you. I cut 3-inch sections, and for this part I'm going to just stick these in here into this tubing so they look like hairs kind of coming out of his ears. And I'm going to glue this all together here. I think I'm going to take that tip part off there. Now the most important thing with putting this project together today is we are using low temp, not high temp, because everything that we're working on could melt. So we want to kind of remember that we're doing that. And I'm just going to stick a little bit onto the ear part there. And another great thing about the low temp is it keeps you from burning your fingers. So I can't believe how many projects I thought I had to have the high temp for when it only needs the low temp. So don't be afraid to use that low temp. So we did the one little guy there, and that looks really good. So let's go ahead and get the other side done. And again, we have a straight piece, so we're going to cut this at an angle. And then I'm going to tip that off just to give that point I had on the other ear. I'm going to put these guys in before I start to roll it this time. And we'll just roll them right on up. And that way it looks like he's part of the wreath, kind of made out of the same stuff. And then I'm going to glue him behind that fur. Again, low temp, kind of important. Just securing all this stuff together so it doesn't come apart or out. And then I'm going to take a little bit of it up the ear. We kind of want that point going up at the top. This little guy came out, so I'm going to stick him back in. And I'm just going to put a little bit of glue coming all the way up. So now we've got our little rabbit ears. And we're going to take them and we're actually going to place them onto the back side of the wreath. So set your wreath down. This should be flush with your table so you can still work up here, but it won't be in the way when you go to hang it. So we've got that nice and flush. And then we're going to glue this on. And the headband just kind of opens up. If you get one that doesn't, maybe break it in the middle up here, and that'll give you more mobility of the headband. And you can leave those as little whiskers or furs or whatever you want to do. So once that is nice and secure, I'm going to go ahead and put a couple of straight pins into the felt. And what really helps keep the straight pins is a little bit of glue, hot glue. It keeps the straight pins from coming out of the styrofoam. So I'm going to go ahead and put those around a little bit. And do one more over here. And I found that using the tacky glue was time consuming and messy. It didn't dry fast enough. The glue wasn't enough by itself because we can't use it as a hot glue gun, and the needles didn't stay in, or the straight pins didn't stay in by themselves. So that's the reason we're doing the combination of the two. Now I added little pieces of the mesh tubing around my wreath as well. You can see it kind of sticking out, and you don't really see it at first, but I think it kind of gives it a little bit of a fuzzy feeling, so you can decide if you want to do that or not. And another thing I would probably like to do is maybe change my tail to a pink tulle, or even mesh, or put a little bit of little pink tulle in it so the tail stands out. I think that would be really cute and show off really well. So those are a couple things that you could do different. But what I'm going to do is cut a bunch of these real quick, and because we're going to use them as we're tying on. And while I'm working, we're going to ask our camera guy if he's getting close enough, or if we get to the point where we don't think you can see what I'm doing, we'll move in a little bit for you. But I'm going to start at the bottom because I don't want that to be, if I don't hit it quite right, that's a part I don't want to show as up on the top. So the tool is just one piece. We don't cut it. We are going to cut our white pipe cleaners and just go get a bag full of them. You can find different colors, all of one kind, usually at any of your craft stores, including Walmart. And I cut those into 4s. You could even cut them a little bit smaller, probably, if you wanted to. So this first one, we're just going to kind of gather a little bit of a tail. And You just need enough, and when I was doing this, actually, I would just keep the tubing all together and cut it as I needed, because this is actually enough for 2, so you could get like 8 pieces out of there. And then I'm going to hot glue that, but it's a low temp, so it's low temp glue. And I'm going to put this one on, kind of on the inside, and pin that as much as I can into my pipe cleaner. And you can trim that tail off or glue it on or whatever you want to do down there. And as we're doing this first row, what we're going to kind of do is do one here, one here, one here, one here, one here, one here. Don't worry about the outside. You're not going to be able to get that. After we get these all done, then we're going to come around the outside and do all of those. So it's probably about 4 inches up. And we're going to take our little poly mesh rope, I can't remember what I called it earlier, and put that in there and tie that all in one piece. And we're going to lay that down. Now remember, this one's going to go to the other side, and you want that guy kind of sticking out. And I probably have about 1 inch from that one to that one. And are we able to see that real good? So we can kind of, we moved it at that angle and pin that in. And you're not twisting it, it should stay one direction. So about 4 inches up, add our little tubing. And you could even do the tubing in pink. That would be really cute too. That might give us that little pink feel to it. That would be cute. I didn't have any pink. And then we're going to glue that, and then this one's going to come back in towards the middle. And we're going to pin that in. So we're going to get some here, and we're going to get some on this side. I'm going to do one more, and then we'll talk about going around the ears. So I've cut those actually into about 8 pieces for each pipe cleaner. If they've got ends off, if you want to trim them or just push them down, that's up to you. So this one is going to now come this direction. And now you can see why it's important that it's white. If you're going to do it pink, you'd want to make sure that your wreath was pink, because you are going to see through it a little bit. So go ahead and continue all the way around. When you get up here, as you can see, we still have this open part. So this is our ears open part, so just go right around it, back and forth, all the way until you get back in here, and just butt up to that, and then we'll start our outside edge. I've gone all the way around, and I made it a little bit fluffier than when I first started out on the bottom here, and I like the fluffier, but that's okay, it's not going to matter. I'm right next to this one here, so I'm going to do one on this side right here, and then we're just going to head off around the bottom of the wreath, and we're going to keep doing it the same way. And one of our little tubes, and tie that off, wrap that around there, and clip off the remainder. See, if you do that instead of cutting the pieces, I think you end up saving more of the pipe cleaners or the Chanel. And so like I said, on this one, I may have made him a little bit foofier than I wanted, but that's okay. We'll just put him right there, and we'll put his pin in. Okay, so now you see we've got this area right here, and all I'm going to do is just one at a time all the way around, just filling in that area just like we did, only we're not going up and down, we're just going all the way around. And I even have room up here to do it up on top around the bunny ears. So I'm going to go ahead and do that, and then we're just going to lock them together. Now, if you had a piece and you ran out, just take your next piece and kind of hook it under, and then tie that off with your pipe cleaner, and just keep on working from there. We'll go ahead and get this first one started so you can kind of have a look at it. I'll try and get that nice and close for you there so you can see it. And like I said, I think I liked it a little bit fuller. And it's a really inexpensive wreath. It just takes a little bit of time, but not too bad. Once you have all of it up and you know what you're doing, things go so much faster. And don't forget your low temp setting, not your high temp setting. And I'm going to do one more so you just have that look. Go all the way around. And then I'm also going to show you the hanger real quick too while we're thinking about it. Just so you know how to do the hanger. And then all we would have left is his tail. So you can make these as big as poofy as you want. You wouldn't really want them taller than those, so think about that. Try and do it here so you can see it. And like I said, we're just doing them all the same, on the same height level. They're not doing them up and down like we were. Okay, so and go ahead and finish that all the way around. And then when we get ready to do our hanger on this, I just made my own right here, and I just used my pipe cleaner. You could double it up if you feel you need a little bit more, but you shouldn't. And I am just going to twist that tail end. Cut this guy off right about there. So I'm just going to take this. You could do it with the pliers if you wanted to, but just kind of twist that up just to give the pin something to kind of hang onto. We got a nice good shot of that for you. And then I'm going to lay them right there, and then I'm going to glue it and pin those on. So you've got a nice good hanger. I'm going to give that just a minute there. And right in the middle where we made that little loop, we're going to pin that on. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and finish around him, and then we're going to start on our tail. So I've gone ahead and gone all the way around the outside and tucked that back in there, finishing up, and we're going to get ready to do his tail. And I did go ahead and put the pink into his tail. I just didn't think his tail stood out enough and didn't really care for it until I did go put the pink tool into it. I tried the pink mesh and I didn't like it. I like the pink tool with the white mesh. I am going to cut 6 of the tube at 6-inch lengths. So we have 6 of those. If I can find my last one here for the tail, again to give it that kind of furry feeling. Popped out, so we got all of those ready there, and we're going to use a pipe cleaner to tie our tail all together. And I'm going to do 6 8-inch pieces for the tail. And again, we're going to cut these with our paper cutter. And you can find our paper cutters at miriamjoy.com. It's just so much easier to cut both the tool and the mesh with the paper cutter when you're doing links like this and trying to cut them with your scissors, hold them down, do it right. That's just a lot of extra work. So I'm going to go ahead and get those ready, and then I'm going to just do 6-inch links, and I'm going to do 8 of them. I'm going to put one on the beginning and the ending side of our tail. So I am going to do 8 of those. Once we have those all cut, we're going to start to assemble them. I'm just going to gather my tool. We're going to roll our mesh. So I'm going to put a pink tool in between each one of my rolled mesh pieces. And that's probably the hardest part, is trying to roll and hold at the same time. And I found that 8-inch pieces were easier to stay rolled and do than 6-inch pieces of mesh were. And by putting it in with the white, it just gives it that little pink. But when it was all mesh, it was too pink. But you've got that hint of pink, which I like a lot better. And it just really makes the tail stand out but not take over. So I'm very happy with that now. Try to keep your mesh out of your tool. I know that's going to be a little bit hard. That just sticks to that like crazy. And we're almost done here. And one more here. So I guess I only needed 7 pink tool pieces, not 8. I did 1 extra, so I'm just going to stick it in somewhere, maybe in the front. So we're going to put the one, gather that one up and put that one on the side, and we'll put that guy in the front where we're going to put our little tail pieces, and we're going to try and get them kind of lined up here. You could do them, put them in one by one if you want, and hold on to them to get them kind of even there, kind of like that, or you can try to get them more at one time here. So that kind of just gives it that extra little hair feeling that we've been putting throughout our wreath. So now that we've got everything held, we're going to put our pipe cleaner around it. And you want a full pipe cleaner on this one. And tie him off. And this guy, tool guy, kind of slipped down a little bit. Isn't that so much better than just a white one? Isn't that cute? Little cottontail. So now we're going to go to our wreath, and we've got the 2 parts, and instead of doing it this way where we've got half on one side and half on the other side, I'm going to do it top and bottom so it'll kind of squish up more. And you want to make sure that you're even with your ears. And I'm going to take this one and probably put it through these, but under or through this last one right here, so you're not going on top of that last row. So we've got that guy, and the back one is just coming right through. And again, make sure you have it lined up, and I am not all the way lined up, I'm 1 over, so I'm going to move him to the next one, and now he is lined up with my ears. And on, you can either set it up here a little bit if you wanted to. I'm going to leave mine right where it is, just kind of sticking out on the tail so it kind of looks like a bunny butt right there. And just twist those. You can either tuck them in or you can cut them off. And there is our little bunny ear wreath. Wasn't that fun? I think this is one of my favorites this season. A lot of people ask me what my favorite project is, and I always say the last one because I get so excited about them and just have a lot of fun with them. So make sure you see what other fun things we're coming up with. Subscribe to our YouTubes as well as subscribe to our Facebook page at Miriam Joy's Waxy Crafty Corner, where we post all these new fun things and videos for you to enjoy. Have a blessed Easter.